Good morning. I am Miriam and welcome to Miriam's Manor. So this morning, you guys, I wanted to give you a quick tour of my summer garden and show you how everything is coming along. Now, I know technically it is still spring, but here in Arizona, we definitely already have summer temperatures. Right now, we have a little bit of a cool spell that has come through. It is 70 degrees in the morning. It is 6 o'clock in the morning right now, you guys. And it is 70 degrees, but it's beautiful out right now. We are expected to get to 97 degrees today, but we have been well averaging about 108 to 110 degrees so far. And of course, in the next few weeks, it's just going to go up from there. So I wanted to show you how everything is coming along, how everything is doing before the real extreme heat hits us. And then it's a struggle for me to keep everything alive through the summer months. So let's go ahead and walk through and I will give you a tour of Good Fruit Garden. So I am going to start in the outside first. These are the vines that I transplanted about 6 weeks ago that are doing fantastic. They were completely dead in the other spot in our yard, and they are making a complete comeback. I am so excited about this. This wall will be full of vines, so that will be a lot of fun. It is early. The hibiscus is still closed, but I'm hoping that they will open back up before I finish the tour so that you guys can see how these are doing. And my little lantanas here are doing well. They have grown up since I planted them about 4 weeks ago. So I can't wait for them to get a little bit bigger so that I can make them into a hedge. And moving right inside, you guys, I have a lot of work to do this morning in my garden. This mint here is out of control. It is just ginormous. It is touching the ground. You can't even see the garden bed. I do have some powdery mildew that I am also battling, so I am going to be spraying this morning with some neem oil, and I am going to pull one of these carrots out to see how they are coming along. They've been planted for quite some time now, so you think they might be done. No, they are not. This is only about 3 to 4 inches, so I will definitely leave the other carrots in and let them, excuse me, grow up a little bit more. And what else do we have in here? We have a squash plant here that you also can see has some rust spots as well as powdery mildew that I will be treating this morning. And my basil here is doing fantastic, even with all of the surrounding plants around it that have kind of gotten a little infected. It is remaining strong. So I do have some blooms in here on this particular scallop squash. And I do have a few scallop squash that are pretty much ready to harvest in this plant here. I can show you through this canopy of leaves. So there's one there, and there's the other one. And as you can see, it's loaded with blooms and things that are getting ready to grow. So this has actually been a really good producer for me. It has produced about 4 to 6 scallop squash a week. And this is my little summer squash over here on this end. And as you can see, all of my squash plants have powdery mildew on them. But I've got a little baby growing right in here, so it is coming along. This will actually be my second fruit of the season for this plant. And my banana pepper here in front is doing well. Some of the fruit is like tucked deep into the canopy, so it's a little bit harder to see, but there are several peppers on this plant. And then my large bed here, I will start over here at this end with the scallop squash that volunteered. This thing has produced a ton of fruit. This one little plant gives me about 3 to 4 scallop squash a week. And I am moving the canopy for the zucchini plant so you guys can see. I have 2 huge zucchini right now that actually do need to be harvested before I spray everything. They are massive. Like I've been showing you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, this puts out so much large fruit. I cannot believe how huge they get. And tucked between these two canopies of the squash and zucchini are my tomatoes, and they're doing really well. They actually have about 10 tomatoes or so on them right now. I'll try to move around to the back to give you a better view of the tomatoes that are tucked on the back side, but you can see this plant definitely is loaded with a ton of tomatoes, especially for it being such a young plant. And my little peas are still producing, but they're kind of dying out because the heat is beginning to get to them. And as you can see, you guys have so much work to do. I've got to prune some of this dead foliage off of this other tomato plant here in the back. But I do have one little tomato that's growing on this plant. And this is the back canopy of my Sicilian cherry tomato plant. I wanted to show you guys the back of this thing because it is literally just as big as the front part. I have cut this thing back so much and it just keeps spreading like a weed. So coming back along to the front side, I do have my cucumber plants in here, again suffering from powdery mildew. Everything is going to get treated in my garden this morning so that hopefully I can get on top of this and it doesn't continue to spread because it is everywhere. I do have my first little female flowers, but they did not bloom, unfortunately, so I'm still waiting for my first cucumber. And my bell pepper plant is doing really well. It's got a ton of fruit on it that is growing. But as you can see, I have this potato vine here that is growing in the middle of my bell pepper plant. So it has become quite large. It's actually trailing at this point down, almost touching the ground in the front of this bed. So I planted sweet potatoes here last year, and they're still coming up. So I need to get those out, but the bell pepper plant is still doing really good. It's not bothering it at all. And this is the front side of this tomato plant. Now, you guys, this plant was actually trailing all the way down here, touching these cucumbers. I just cut all of this back 2 weeks ago, and I am not exaggerating. I have cut this thing 6 times, and it is still going strong. So here is a last little overview. I am going to begin to get to work. I am going to cut out all of the leaves that are really diseased, and then I'm going to spray. So here is a look at everything that I had to cut out. These were the leaves that were like the worst of the worst. I think if I can just spray everything else from here, I should be able to kind of get that under control. So I am going to grab my neem oil here and go through and then spray the tops and the bottoms of every single leaf. So as I was spraying, I noticed I've got a pretty good size hole in here and an even bigger one over here. Something is in my beds digging holes and exposing all the roots to my plants. Look at that root. So I am going to have to get to the bottom of this. So I am all wrapped up with spraying, and this is what I ended up harvesting today. I also grabbed just a little bit of basil for a dish that I want to make this morning. My huge zucchini and onion and my itty bitty carrot, but I'm still going to cut it up and chop it up and put it in some type of meal that I make. And over here, my tomatoes are just doing fantastic. You guys, I pull about 200 tomatoes off of this plant every single week. So it has just been such a great producer for me. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. I was hoping that by the time we were done, the hibiscus behind me would open up. It is still so early in the morning. They typically don't open up until about 7:30 when the sun kind of comes up and opens the blooms. So hopefully I'll be able to pop a picture of them in while I'm editing this video to get it out to you guys today. So if you guys have any questions for me, leave me a line in the comment section. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up for this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until I see you again, may your life and your garden produce good fruit. Bye.